What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. With this video, we are jumping into Eternals, issue number 12. If you have not been keeping up with this series, be sure to check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It'll get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on so far. But with issue number 12, we are bringing an end to our story arc of Hail Thanos, where we last left off with Ajax trying to talk to this ghost celestial. Not giving her any information, she laid down a beating. On the outside of Avengers Mountain, we have Eternals versus the Avengers, but they are just trying to buy them time so they can get the information that they need. They need to know about deviants. What is their true origin? Where do they come from? What has all else been hidden from them? Just recently learning about the fact that when they are resurrected, one human life is taken. Not only that, they need to find the failsafe that Phastos had put in Thanos, with him being Prime Eternal, trying to merge himself with the machine. Time is running out. Be sure to buy the comic, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so picking us up at Avengers Mountain. Right now, the Avengers and the Eternals, they are facing off against one another. As they hold the line, we have Ajax, who has just beaten the heck out of this celestial ghost. But she was able to get the full schematic scriptures for the deviants. The design goals, everything. What she also learned is that the deviants are the important ones, giving us a very quick deviant overview. 4 billion years ago, the progenitor had died, its necrofluids entering the entire ecosystem. It changed everything that it touched. The problem is, when it combined with other things, it became very unstable. This led to the extinction of whatever it did touch, at least for the most part. The deviants, they were designed to be malleable to this fluid. Over the course of the last million years, they have been acting upon the necrofluid, either stabilizing it or having it destroy it. Those that are able to stabilize this, they pass it down from deviant to deviant, as well as to other biological beings on the planet. This process we have seen climax in the last few hundred years. And so what we are really being told is that the deviants are the mothers of the Age of Marvels. Like the Eternals, their purpose is now complete, but they were the important ones all along. Understandably, Ajax is broken. She has spent a million years following this doctrine, believing that she was doing the right thing. She believed the Celestials wanted them to go on a holy war. As she questions everything that she has ever believed, she does have one question: who is policing the gods? And if there is no one doing it, why not them? Having all of the information they need, they are ready to break off this fight with the Avengers. Unfortunately, the Avengers, they're not really letting them go anywhere. They had trapped the Phoenix Force inside a time and space bubble. This was just to hold her temporarily. They knew that it wasn't going to hold her very long. And when the Phoenix is able to break through, there is a giant blinding light. Taking a trick out of their playbook, she creates a giant orb of energy, encapsulating all of the Eternals that they are fighting with. The only ones that could possibly survive going through this is Gilgamesh and Icarus. And so while they are locked here inside of this cage, they don't realize how little time they have left. Right now, Thanos is trying to merge with the machine, having all of the information that he needs out of his father's mind. As the resurrection engine is started up, something happens. Thanos feels a little bit different, but even feeling different, he did not become one with the machine. They have everything that they need. As Domo tries to get some kind of explanation on what is happening here, knowing that this is going to disappoint the Prime Eternal, he lets him know that his parents, they used the power of Kronos to marry deviant material to eternal material. The deviant side of him is really clogging this up. It is stopping him from being able to become one with the machine. That there is something different about him. Some way, shape, or form, he is not the individual that his parents had created. He is something different, but he doesn't see this as a loss. he has done something that no Eternal has ever done. He changed himself so much that the machine no longer recognizes him, and he did this without even realizing it, as this continues to just feed his own ego. And so since he's not able to become one with the machine, he wants to get back to his original goal. He wants to go to Thanos and the portals, return to the time stream, call the Oceanic Watch, and let them join him as he destroys Earth. Now having access to the armory of the Eternals, doomsday devices and weapons that Uranus gave him access to. As the Prime Eternal now activates these devices, Druig is realizing that he got outplayed. When that activation for those failsafes went on, every single Eternal felt it. The machine let them know exactly what was about to happen, stopping fighting immediately. Cersei connects with all of the Avengers, fills them in very quickly on what is about to go down. Having no time to explain themselves, the Eternals take off. As they land on Thanos, this is where they come up with their plan, which is relatively simple. The Prime Eternal needs to die, that with his death they will be able to override any kind of doomsday device. Without wasting any time, we see the battle commence. The Eternals unaware of the Oceanic Watch that catches them off guard, standing with Thanos the Prime Eternal. Even with all of their powers, even with all of their ability, they are losing this fight. There is one big question that Thanos has to ask. How did the Eternals know where I am? And that is because of Druig. As he grabs hold of Druig's neck, he is about to put his lights out. But this is when something happens. The machine had been programmed that anytime something classified under Hidden Armory of Uranus was accessed and activated, that would mean also the activation of Phastos failsafe codes. This order also has a note attached to it, letting it be known that his mind was probably wiped. This is so that he would forget how to use the failsafe, thinking that he would do this. Before his mind had been wiped, he put in a failsafe of his own, so that when Prime Eternal finally did decide to betray them all and destroy the Earth, Druig would come out as the hero, as the Mad Titan begins to turn into nothing more than a giant blob. He gets kicked into the time stream, Druig knowing that eventually this is probably gonna come back and bite him in the butt. But at least for this day, right now, he cannot be seen as the enemy, but in fact, the victor of the day. With the battle being won, Cersei goes to explain everything to the Avengers. Of course, she's leaving out the detail that is, of course, with their resurrection is the death of one human life. Believing that the Avengers ever found out about this, it would turn them against them. This is the whole reason for this whole Cloak and Dagger Act. Moreover, they are concerned why they weren't let known that the Mad Titan was there on Earth, why they weren't called in to help protect their planet. And Cersei lets them know that this was never your planet. This planet always belonged to the Eternals. They have been its protectors and its guardians long before humanity ever existed. But she also lets it be known that the Avengers should not be trusting the Eternals. As they go on their separate ways, we're really leaving this on some rocky ground. The relationship between these two teams, it really does have a giant gap between it. As all of the Eternals, they start to meet up and discuss what happens next. Who becomes the next Prime Eternal? What do the Eternals do next now that the Celestials have abandoned us? But Icarus's mind finds him in New York City, the mother of the Robinson kid. Seeing on the news that Icarus had saved the day in that town, she has to ask the question, why were you able to save that town, but you couldn't save Toby? And Icarus has been feeling a tremendous amount of guilt. Toby Robinson is the kid that died so he could be resurrected. His whole job was to protect humanity. That has been his core mission. Learning this information, the sacrifice that humanity has to make so that Eternals can live, this has really broken him to his very core. But that is the least of his problems. On Olympia, we have Druig, who is sitting in the throne. Now, it doesn't seem like they elected him to be Prime Eternal. He could be very well just sitting in currently until the next one is elected, but he very much wants that to be himself. To do this, he needs to unite all of the Eternals against one enemy, having the machine take this new deviant database that they have uncovered. With this database, they are able to track deviant DNA anywhere in the world. The thing is, it is literally everywhere, the entire planet, trying to really narrow down the search. He has a machine look for what they would call deviant, the genes belonging to the deviants they currently know, trying to see little pockets of population on where they may be able to find this. With this search being narrowed down, we see 2 speckled dots. The big one is Lemuria, but the other one, that is the island of Krakoa, the capital of all mutant kind, recently making their expansion to Mars. This is exactly what Druig wanted to hear, with them venturing onto Mars. He believes this falls within the definition of excess deviation, and that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You know, we saw from the Judgment Day Free Comic Book Day issue, the Avengers X-Men issue number 1, is really more or less they're letting us know that Druig, he is believing that the mutants are deviations, that they are excess deviation, and because of that, they need to be exterminated. He is going to use this as a rallying cry to unite all of the Eternals, to bring them together against mutant kind, defeat the excess deviations, and then get the crown of Prime Eternal. And after Avengers X-Men issue number 1, finding out that they also have immortality with all of their powers, all of their abilities, he believes that he can use this information to pitch it to the rest of the Eternals that these guys need to be extinguished, that they need to be wiped off both Mars and Earth. But it's going to be also very interesting to see how all of the other Eternals handle this information after learning that their gods have abandoned them, after learning that the deviants were the important ones the entire time, after learning that humanity has to make the ultimate sacrifice for them to live. Will they fight against mutant kind? Is it coded so much into their DNA that they feel like they have no other obligation but to fight what Druig is calling excess deviation? How many of the Eternals will side with Druig? I think more than likely what we're gonna see from Judgment Day is a civil war break out with the Eternals, but also battling other fronts, dealing with the Avengers and trying to make mutant kind extinct. Whatever the case may be, I am 100% ready for Judgment Day. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by hitting the super thanks button. This button will let you donate directly to the channel, and every little bit helps us out. Now, if you can't do that, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you hit that like button, and until the next breakdown.